From having one of the most infuriating defenses for his opponents to his unmatched strength and skill with the gloves on, Tyson Fury's raw talent and God-given skill have wreaked havoc in the sport of boxing. But you can only go so far with talent, which is why Tyson makes sure he puts in the work. I mean, what makes Tyson so unique is that at first glance, he may qualify as a guy who probably lies around on the couch all day playing Call of Duty and munching on flaming hot Cheetos. But in reality, the only things that are flaming are his gloves by the end of each training session. Don't take that belly for granted, cause underneath all that is some raw, hardcore strength. Or maybe it's a tactical choice. The fat may act as extra padding. Seriously, every time I look at Tyson, I feel better about my physique. Only that I can't seamlessly recreate the famous Ali corner dodge routine. When he did that against Francesco Pianetta, I was off my seat doing the Ali shuffle. It's surreal to see someone of his size move like that. This only goes to show the level of work Tyson puts in behind the scenes. It takes quite the training regimen to achieve that level of success, and Tyson is pretty strict about it. If you didn't know already, Fury's story in boxing is nothing less than a Netflix original.
Of Tyson Fury and the right hand to follow.
Fury successful with a right hand that split the guard.
After years of fighting depression and alcoholism, one night Tyson found himself in a pub, looking around at people half his age. The Gypsy King realized this wasn't the place for him. His throne was calling. That very night, he found himself on his knees crying for God's help and was honest with himself. That was step one. Tyson had taken the leap. His return to the sport took some level of grit and dedication, something that became a trend throughout his career.
Und schauen Sie mal auf den Oberkörper. Da sieht dort links und rechts hin.
After his impressive knockout victory against Dillian Whyte, Tyson seemingly retired from the sport.
Fury with the uppercut! What a punch! He doesn't know where he is. The bell might know it's off.
Well, his Instagram said otherwise. Tyson was still on the grind, claiming he was training at least twice a day. Also, where most fighters would ride off into the sunset and go straight to the nearest steakhouse for a good bite, Tyson would rather munch off those extra hours in perfecting his art of war.
Man's blasted away. He's taking a huge punishment.
Gotta get in there.
10 seconds left. It's over.
If you think this level of strictness is abnormal, you're absolutely right. In fact, Tyson himself admitted in an interview on Camp Life, in the build-up to the Chisora fight, that he always needs to be mentally stimulated, which is a fancy word for saying, I like to make my punches sound like gunshots. Yeah, the whole Fury making me feel good about myself thing didn't really age well, and for that high-level mindset, there must be a high-level camp, too. In the same interview, Tyson bragged about having the best team in the world behind him, introducing the man behind the pads, Sugar Hill Stewart. Fans describe their duo as a coach-boxer match made in heaven, and they are pretty close. They love to keep a balance, putting in the work, but also having room for some giggles here and there. Sugar Hill went candid, saying he stays at Fury's house each time he's on the camp with him. Considering how often Fury trains, it's probably a necessity for him. Imagine finally going to sleep after a hard evening, being battered by Tyson on the mitts, only to be woken up 20 minutes later to do it all over again, cause Tyson was bored. We need to get the Gypsy King a hobby, though good luck with that as Fury has no plans of stopping. But getting in all the details of his training routines, you'll probably go, okay, it all just makes sense. Needless to say, Fury is a man of principles. He makes it abundantly clear every now and then when he's either bragging on the mic or bashing his brother Tommy for not living up to the family name. His list of training routine principles start with a good mountain run. Here's the secret behind his ungodly conditioning. Seriously, he made Deontay Wilder look like he was on a dehydration weight cut midway at the end of their second fight. Where most fighters would love to run on the treadmill in the comfort of their households, Fury takes a more primal approach. The Gypsy King battles through the altitude, running sometimes 6 miles up a mountain. Joe Rogan, on his podcast, emphasized on the benefits of mountain running as opposed to another exercise, with none other than David Goggins himself. The two talked about how not only is it physically challenging, but mentally too. The solitude, the eagle soaring by you, there's something so raw about the experience that really triggers something in a man. Oh, and after coming back to earth, Tyson doesn't just hit the ropes, he battles them. He works the ropes hard, using a bunch of routines and combinations of footwork. fact, Fury can easily clock up to 1,000 jumps before going into the fight, something that can be classified as a warm-up for him. And once his body is set to enter the ring, it's time for some good old-fashioned sparring. Fury spends hours on end shadow boxing and sparring with his training partner. Sparring is crucial for every boxer to maintain form, even though it isn't close to the actual experience on the big stage.
5 jabs in that first round. Now has to deal with the right hand sitting right on top of him. The southpaw jab.
Where the pressure is constantly depleting your stamina, but it gets the blood coursing, getting you battle ready. And when you're Tyson Fury, you know it's not a battle with your opponent. The Gypsy King goes in for war. Fury spars multiple times each day at the gym. Michael Buffer should have a special announcement for his sparring partners after every Fury W. But to pack a punch, you certainly need to have the strength necessary. Fury follows an organized and systemic approach to training, particularly in the buildup of the fight. His coaches have him hit the compound life and multiple strength routines way early on in the camp, and as the bout gets closer, they switch it up towards lighter weights. The game plan then switches up from power to explosiveness. This allows the Gypsy King to wind up a killer hook out of nowhere. And yes, you can't really go past a preparation video without answering the all-important question: does he skip leg day? Does having the best footwork in the heavyweight division answer your question? Tyson prioritizes training his legs as much as his shadow boxing. To carry that 6'9" frame, it sort of becomes necessary. But one of the most important principles of Fury's training regime is to always go hard. That's right, it's either go big or go home when it comes to Fury. He likes to switch up his trainer for various reasons, and with each transition, there is bound to be a switch in style. The only thing that doesn't change is Tyson's sheer tenacity and vigor to train hard no matter the trainer. He always puts in his 100% into anything he does. This is also why he is one of the most resilient fighters in the world right now.
Should be lifted and cheered like a hero. Tyson Fury did the job. The referee did the right thing. But Derek Chisora...
His resurrection in the first Wilder fight was the perfect example of this. After receiving a deciding right hand from the hardest hitter in the heavyweight division, everyone had Tyson ruled out of the bout, only for him to rise from the ashes. But make no mistake, going hard doesn't mean getting reckless. The last and probably the most important part of Tyson's and just about any training camp is recovery. We won't show a lot of the footage of Tyson getting massaged up for obvious reasons, but following his hectic schedule, it is just as important to not overexert oneself. When closer to the match, Fury prefers going easy on the upper body to help him recover in time. You can't go toe-to-toe with the meanest fighters with spaghetti arms. Though yes, frequent massages are vital to keeping the blood pumping. He's also, in classic Fury-like fashion, sharing some other ways he gets his testosterone pumping. But let's call it a wrap now on how Tyson Fury prepares for his fights.